welcome to Reading with Rabeha. In today's episode, we're going to be reading a book which is called Nusaiba and the 5th Grade Bullies. It is written by Asmaa Hussein and illustrated by Zulli. So let's begin. On a sunny Monday morning, Nusaiba walked to school with her mother. She skipped along, excited for today's show and tell. She had brought a swirly snail from her garden. When they reached the school's front gate, Nusaiba planted a quick peck on her mum's cheek and hurried into the building before the bell could ring. As she quickly walked towards Mrs. Chang's grade 3 classroom, she heard muffled laughter behind her. Nusaiba would have recognized that snickering anywhere. 5th grade boys. Did you see what Nusaiba's mum was wearing? She's such a weirdo. They chuckled. Ding! Went the bell. Nusaiba ran into class without turning around. Nusaiba was slumped on her desk all morning. What right did those boys have talking about my mum that way? She asked herself. Was it her headscarf that they were making fun of? Mrs. Chang asked her if something was the matter, but Nusaiba said no. At lunchtime, Nusaiba's best friend, Emily, sat next to her in the cafeteria. Nusaiba told her the whole story. Who cares what those boys say? Emily said. They say mean things about everyone. They're bullies. I guess you're right, sighed Nusaiba. The next morning, when Nusaiba and her mother approached the school, Nusaiba looked around nervously. She did not want to run into those boys. Is something wrong, Nusaiba? Asked her mother. Mum, can I cross the street and walk to the school gate alone today? I think I'm old enough. Her mother thought for a moment and shrugged. Why not? I'll be standing right here watching you. Wave to me when you get to the gate. The friendly crossing guard helped Nusaiba cross the street. She was about to turn and wave to her mum when she spotted those 5th grade bullies. She hesitated for a moment and then scurried into the school without waving goodbye to her mother. Nusaiba felt guilty all day. She wondered how her mother was feeling. Later that afternoon, Nusaiba's mum came to pick her and Emily up from soccer practice. They were on their way home when Nusaiba's mum decided to stop in at the local hijab shop. Girls, I'm going to pick something up from the store, Mum said. I'll only be a minute. Oh no, Nusaiba whispered to Emily. You know my mum always takes forever when she's trying on clothes. A long 20 minutes later, the two friends were slumped on wobbly grey stools outside the fitting room. I'm bored, groaned Nusaiba. I won't be long, said Mum, sticking her head out from behind the thick green curtain. I'm just trying on a few skirts for work. Nusaiba, why don't you go and pick a nice headscarf for yourself? It can be your own special scarf to wear to the mosque for prayer. Emily can help you choose one. Really? Asked Nusaiba, wide-eyed. She had always adored and admired the soft, silky scarves that were folded so perfectly in her mother's dresser. Now she would get to have one just as pretty. Nusaiba leapt off the rickety stool and grabbed Emily's hand, pulling her towards the scarf display. As they stood before dozens of headscarves neatly lined up, their mouths fell open in wonder. There were square scarves, rectangular scarves, silk scarves, cotton scarves, striped scarves, polka dot scarves, and every colour of the rainbow scarves. Nusaiba's body tingled with excitement as she picked up a soft scarf patterned with red paisleys, the little tag read Pashmina. Pashmina. She let the words warm her tongue. She said to Emily, smell this. The scarf smells like cinnamon. What if I try it on for just 1 second? She draped the scarf over her head and twirled, her eyes closed. I'm a powerful queen with 1,000 red and gold bangles tinkling up my arms and henna design swirling right to my fingertips. And I'm your royal advisor, said Emily. They giggled. Look at this camel-coloured one, Nusaiba said, quickly pulling it from the table. We're archaeologists travelling to a remote Egyptian desert, carefully digging away in the blazing sun. Any minute now, we might discover an ancient mummy. Emily reached for the corner of a scarf hanging off the edge of the table. Nusaiba, look, what can you be if you wrap yourself in this mysterious deep blue scarf? She asked, holding it up in the mirror. I know, cried Nusaiba, a diver. I'll discover the secret treasures from long-lost shipwrecks and swim right up to the nose of a great white shark. Wow, marvelled Nusaiba. Putting on a bright orange scarf, I'm a brave firefighter, she said, puffing out her chest, fighting huge blazing fires and leaping up to the top of trees to rescue cute kittens. This scarf looks like a pattern of fish scales. How strange, Emily said, smiling. Maybe we can be tough fisherwomen in this one. Here we go, battling stormy waters and bringing home boatloads of huge tuna fish to feed our whole town. Look at this shimmering white scarf with silver tassels, Nusaiba said excitedly as she slipped it on. It reminds me of freshly fallen snow. I know, we'll climb snowy mountains and cross icy pathways, planting our flags on the highest summits. I'll race you to the top, said Emily. Suddenly, Mum appeared. She stood before the messy mountain of scarves. She crossed her arms. Or, said Nusaiba, as she raised her finger in the air, we can be fantastic cleaners ready to unleash extraordinary tidying powers on the scarf display. Emily and Nusaiba smiled meekly. That sounds about right, young ladies, exclaimed Nusaiba's mother, trying to hold in her laughter. Under the watchful eye of the store clerk, Nusaiba and Emily carefully refolded all the amazing scarves. Finally, tucked between a cheerful yellow scarf and a pink one with green flowers, Nusaiba spotted the perfect scarf. It was light blue and as bright as the summer sky. It had swooping white swirls that looked like fluffy clouds. It felt just right. This, she decided, would be her own special scarf. As they walked out of the little hijab shop, Nusaiba ran her fingers over the soft cotton blue. She decided she would wear the scarf to school the next day. The next morning, Nusaiba wrapped the scarf around her head. She and her mother walked to school hand in hand. Right before the crosswalk, Nusaiba's mum turned to her and said, "You can walk ahead alone if you'd like." "Well, I am grown up," said Nusaiba, "but do you think you could still walk with me to the school gate for a little while longer?" "I sure can," said Mum, with a great big grin. As they approached the gate, Nusaiba noticed those mean boys standing around again. She wondered what they'd say this time. "It's Nusaiba's mum again," they said loudly. "She's wearing a different one today. What an oddball." "I've had enough," thought Nusaiba. She let go of her mum's hand and stomped right up to the boys. With her fists clenched, Nusaiba yelled, "You boys are so rude. My mum wears a scarf on her head because she's a Muslim. It's not funny to insult her because of her faith." "What?" stammered one of the boys. "We weren't making fun of her scarf. It's those strange bugs she always wears." "What? These old brooches?" asked Nusaiba's mother as she approached the boys. "I'm an entomologist. I love studying insects." "An ento what?" asked one of the boys. They were starting to snicker again. "An entomologist," replied Nusaiba. "Didn't you hear her? She studies insects. And that means she has lots of insects at work." That's right, said Nusaiba's mother. My friend at the lab studies big old tarantulas. She has a whole room full of them. They have long, hairy legs and 8 beady little eyes. Would you like me to bring some over tomorrow? Maybe you'd like a chance to see them up close. No thanks, said one of the boys, inching away. I think the bell's going to ring now, he said, running up the steps. Nusaiba and her mother looked at each other and burst out laughing. Then Nusaiba kissed her mum's cheek and ran inside. Nusaiba had the most fantastic day at school. Everyone loved her scarf. They said it looked like blue cotton candy, and those 5th grade boys were nowhere to be seen. At lunchtime, Nusaiba sat next to Emily. As they opened their lunches, a folded piece of paper fell out of Nusaiba's lunchbox. It was a note from Mum. You can be anything you dream. And that's the end of this story. So at the very end, there is actually some questions that a parent could ask their child. It could even be used in an education setting. So there's character development, there's reading comprehension questions, and there's also writing prompts as well. And what I really like about this story is the bright, vibrant colors. I like that the main character, the protagonist, is a female, and I also like the way that she changes from the very beginning towards the end. She gains a lot in terms of confidence. She also starts learning a little bit more about her religion, and she then also decides to wear a scarf at the end. She learns to accept, and she also learned how to stand up to bullies as well. So I think that this is a great story, and it's definitely one which I would recommend to you and your children. I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you haven't already done so, please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.